Welcome to Traveling Kangaroo. Today we're diving into a story that should alarm every American household: an economy drowning in debt, extreme inequality, fragile banks, and a speculative bubble that could trigger a collapse faster and more severe than 1929. Stay with me. This matters to your family, retirement, and future. Right now, total U.S. household debt sits around $18.2 trillion, an amount comparable to the GDP of major economies. Credit card debt just hit an all-time high, delinquencies are rising, and millions are borrowing to pay for groceries and rent. Meanwhile, corporate debt is at record levels, and many firms use borrowed money for buybacks instead of investing in real growth. The wealth gap has reached levels not seen since the 1920s. Combine that with a banking system quietly fragile in places, a tech and AI-driven speculation mania, and soaring federal interest costs, and you have a system that is alarmingly exposed. If you have 10 minutes, I'll walk you through the main facts, the parallels with the late 1920s, how today's crisis could be worse, and, most importantly, what you can do to protect yourself and your family. We start with households, because when families break, societies strain. Most Americans are stretched thin. Average credit card balances are rising, and delinquencies on credit card balances 30 days or more are at a 12-year high. About 4 in 10 adults missed a short-term loan payment in the past year. Buy now, pay later plans, once pitched for small luxuries, are now being used to cover essentials. That's a red flag. Borrowing for groceries and rent means people are not just leveraging for future growth, they're borrowing to survive today. Student loan debt adds another layer. Roughly $1.6 trillion remains outstanding. Many young adults carry median balances in the $20,000 to $25,000 range, and that debt delays home purchases, family formation, and savings. Add medical debt, tens of millions borrowing to pay bills, and you see how everyday shocks can quickly become financial crises for millions. Emergency preparedness is weak. Over a quarter of Americans report zero emergency savings, and fewer than half could cover a $1,000 emergency without borrowing. When a recession or big market shock hits, that lack of buffer means defaults rise fast, consumer spending collapses, and small businesses suffer. Now let's zoom out to corporations and markets. Companies have borrowed heavily. Instead of channeling that capital into productive investment, new factories, research, pay raises, many corporations use debt to buy back shares or pay dividends. That pads short-term earnings and executive pay, but it leaves companies vulnerable if revenues fall or borrowing costs spike. On top of corporate debt, there's a speculation bubble centered on artificial intelligence and a handful of mega-cap tech firms. Nvidia's market cap exploded. Several AI-related companies trade at sky-high price-to-sales multiples. Venture capital poured roughly $200 billion into generative AI since 2021, and many VC portfolios are heavily concentrated in AI. Meanwhile, 7 large tech names represent nearly 30% of the S&P 500's value. That concentration means a sharp correction in a few stocks could wipe out a large portion of retirement accounts, pensions, and household wealth. This brings us to banking. The March 2023 failures, Silicon Valley Bank, Signature, First Republic, are a modern preview of how quickly runs can happen. In just 48 hours, deposits fled, contagion spread fast. Regional banks are uniquely exposed to commercial real estate loans that are maturing in a much higher rate environment. Many of these loans are difficult to refinance now. If defaults rise across commercial real estate, some regional banks could face insolvency. Because modern banking is highly interconnected and instantaneous, problems can cascade across the system far faster than in the 1930s. Speaking of the 1930s, the video draws parallels between now and the late 1920s. And yes, there are disturbing similarities: extreme market speculation, huge concentration of wealth, and a populace deeply leveraged. But today's system has important differences that could make the next crisis even worse. First, speed digital banking, high-frequency trading, and social media move fear and money in hours, not weeks. Second, global interconnectedness, supply chains, and financial markets are linked worldwide, meaning shocks spread immediately across borders. Third, let's talk about simultaneous exposure. Back in the 1930s, some sectors could actually act as shock absorbers during downturns. But today, household, corporate, municipal, and sovereign debts are all elevated at the same time. There's really no healthy sector left to cushion the fall. And fourth, let's consider policy constraints. Federal debt is huge. It's now over $36 trillion. And interest costs, already nearing $1 trillion annually, are expected to grow dramatically. The Congressional Budget Office and credit agencies are warning that interest costs as a share of revenue will surge. That, in turn, reduces fiscal flexibility to respond to a crisis with large stimulus or social programs. Meanwhile, partisan gridlock makes bold structural reforms even harder to achieve. So what are the likely cascades? Well, a sharp market correction in overvalued tech stocks could hit retirement accounts and pensions. That loss of wealth would depress consumer spending, which then increases corporate defaults. Rising defaults could stress regional banks, especially those with heavy commercial real estate exposure. Banking stress can freeze credit, making refinancing or restarting businesses almost impossible. With limited fiscal space, the government may really struggle to respond at scale. That combination could produce a prolonged economic downturn, far deeper than just a routine recession. Before you tune out, let's bring this back to you. Most crises hit ordinary people the hardest. They start in markets and boardrooms, but the damage lands in kitchen tables. Delayed medical care, lost homes, drained retirement funds, lost jobs. Preparing now, reducing dependency on high-cost debt, building savings, and avoiding speculative bubbles gives you options when uncertainty arrives. If you want practical help, I can provide a one-page checklist you can implement this week. Urgent steps to reduce credit card interest, build a basic emergency fund, and rebalance a retirement portfolio. I can also pull the latest official numbers from the Fed, the CBO, and credit agencies, so you have sources to track these risks in real time. Remember, the story is not intended to cause panic. It's a call to awareness and preparation. Debt-fueled speculation has ended badly many times in history. The warning signs are visible now, and ignoring them increases the chance of severe consequences. Being informed and proactive gives you the best chance to weather whatever comes next. Thanks for listening. If you found this useful, please subscribe to Traveling Kangaroo, follow us on social media, and visit travelingkangaroo.com for more resources, checklists, and updates. Stay safe, get prepared, and I'll see you next time on Traveling Kangaroo.